G'day boys. So today we looked at the associative property strategy. Now I mentioned that this week we're looking at a number of multiplication strategies and ideally this one today is hopefully going to give you a little bit more of an understanding of multiplying numbers when they're a little bit harder together and sort of three numbers that we're timesing together. So the associative property strategy is a strategy that talks about no matter what order you multiply your numbers in, you still get the same result, okay? So let's say, for instance, I give you the multiplication sum 3 times 5 times 2, okay? We can work it out this way. Using the associative property strategy, or using multiplication, sorry. If you do 3 times 5, that equals 15. We then multiply it by the 2, and then our final answer is 30, okay? If we test now the associative property strategy by mixing our numbers up, and we use the same three numbers, okay, 3, 5, and 2, but we just change the order we multiply them in, the idea is that we get the same answer. So let's go 3 multiplied by 2, then we'll multiply by 5. So 3 times 2 equals 6, multiplied by 5, and we know 6 times 5 is 30. So that's a tick. It shows that our numbers, okay, no matter what order we multiply them in, we still get the same answer. All right, so if we, just while I'm deleting this, if we get, say, some numbers that are a little bit harder to multiply together, such as, let's go 4 times 9 times 2. Now, as I mentioned today, the best way to do the associative property strategy is trying to find a number when multiplied by 2 equals 12 or less, because it's a lot easier to multiply in our heads if we have numbers that we're working up to our 12 times tables. By this, let's go through what I'm talking about. Okay, so if we do 4 times 9, 4 times 9 equals 36, okay, and 36 times 2 is our next step. Now, 36 times 2 isn't very difficult, but it's still a number, okay, that is quite large, and we don't know our 36 times tables, okay, off the top of our head. Because if this number, if this wasn't 2, if that was, say, 5, 36 times 5 in our head is going to be a lot harder to do. So, 36 times 2, pretty straightforward, we can do 72. Okay, now if we rearrange this and we use this associative property strategy, if we do it this way, 4 times 2, we know 4 times 2 equals 8. Now that number is less than 12. And as I mentioned, we should know our 12 times tables. So now if you did 8 times 9, okay, it's a lot simpler to do than 36 times, say, 2. So our answer, once again, would be 72. So try and remember, boys, as I mentioned in class, get the two numbers you multiply by first together. If they can equal 12 or less, it will be much easier strategy to work out, much easier, okay? Because if you have in your test, you know, you're looking at numbers that are 5 times 8 times, you know, 2, okay, it's much easier to do your 5 times 2 first rather than your 5 times 8. Just think about that. Okay, the other thing we looked at today is that if we've got our grid, okay, and this is what we looked at today, where we went height multiplied by width multiplied by depth. Okay, now we know here our height is how high our cubes are. We've got 2 cubes high. Our width is how many cubes do we have? We've got 1, 2, 3. So our width is 3, and our depth is how long our cube is. Okay, or not cube, but 3D shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6 blocks deep. Now, what this is telling us how many cubes are in this shape, Okay, it's telling us the volume of the actual shape. So if we follow this strategy, height times width times depth, you've now got 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 6. 2 times 3 is 6. We leave that 6 there because I like to see your steps that you're using, okay? Rather than just going 2 times 3 times 6 is 36, I like to see this step because at least it shows me that you understand the process. And I can give you a half mark if your multiplication stuff from here to here is wrong. If you get to this stage, I can give you half out of 1, okay? But if you do 6 times 6 and you say your answer is 48, unfortunately, I can't give you a full mark, but I can give you half. So now we just need to do 6 times 6 equals 36. Because we are working with a 3D shape, we must put a little bit of a measurement on the end. So we say centimeters cubed because we're actually doing 2 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 6 centimeters. So if we've got 3 centimeters up here, 1, 2, 3, that's where the little 3 comes in. Okay, boys, hopefully you've got a little bit of a better understanding with associative property. We will certainly look at this further in detail later in the week.